Welcome everyone to the Quality Talks. Every Friday we are there with you, 5:30 to 6:30 India time and 3 to 4 KSA time and 4 to 5 UAE time, and of course respective times in the rest of the world. So I have with me Amarpreet Bhamra. Now he is our alumni. He's done a long time ago. He has been our black belt and master black belt. And he has, I'll just give you a brief introduction about Amarpreet. Amarpreet is a seasoned business process management executive with 20 years of comprehensive work experience and handling diverse roles in business process management, business transformations, re-engineering, project and program management, process excellence and service delivery. Amarpreet holds postgraduate degrees in Mass Communications, University of Hyderabad, and English, Punjab University, and has completed an executive program in leadership and management from IIM Kolkata. So we have Amarpreet with us, and always good to have Amarpreet. And always good to listen to you. I have attended one of your design thinking program, I think 1 year ago, and I was highly impressed with your knowledge. And of course, when you were doing green belt and black belt program certification with us, I think that was quite a few years ago. I had seen your so much of enthusiasm and the way you wanted to learn, and the way you could apply the quality tools and techniques to your workplace at that point of time. So I was highly impressed then as well, and it's a pleasure to have you here. So I'll hand over the stage to you now, and please go ahead, and the stage is yours. Yeah.
Hey, thank you, Amitabh, and good evening to all the participants. It's always, a pleasure to, come to the Annexas Forum and, share learnings and knowledge with on this particular privileged platform. So, without taking, much time, I'm just starting to talk about design thinking. We do have a presentation which I'm sure will be shared while, the talk is going on, and the intent from my end would be to keep it simple and conversational. So I hope that all the participants will have some takeaways from the session that I am doing today with all of you. So I'll just start off. I think about design thinking. I'm sure almost most of you would have heard this term, design thinking, and it has been orbiting in the industry for the past 5-6 years. And I mean, these days it is like being spoken much more than it used to be earlier. And interestingly, design thinking, lot of organization, especially I would say in the let's say the services sector, or maybe the shared services, global business solution. Even I think industries like automotive, or let's say retail, warehousing. I think most of these industries are starting to, look into design thinking, maybe adopt this methodology and see what difference it can make to customers. So that is the premise, for design thinking as a methodology. And I think for the benefit of all participants, design thinking is also spoken these days as one of the levers for quality. So if you would have heard about what quality is all about, going back maybe 10, 20 years, a little bit into history, uh, he would have definitely come across terms like Lean, Six Sigma, TQM, Total Quality Management, ISO, and I think different standard methodologies which organizations use to drive productivity and thereby also improve their customer satisfaction with regards to whatever products they were handling. And I think as the world moved into, let's say, the last 10 years, I think new technologies, new methodologies have come into the forefront. Like for example, I'm sure most of you already would have heard about robotic process automation, machine learning, AI, and along with that, design thinking also has now, you know, come into the picture, and it is being, spoken as one of the levers or tools for, mainstream quality improvement. So I think that is just to give you a background on design thinking, and in terms of the quality world, or let's say process excellence, business process transformations, re-engineering, business excellence, all these disciplines, and the practitioners who are associated with these disciplines, their leaders, they're all looking, trying to, see how design thinking can be applied to respective workplaces or organizations, and, bring in the desired change and make those organizations, better in terms of customer experience. So, Naveen, can you move to next slide? Yeah. So I would just, just to give a little bit context, I mean, design thinking in simple terms, if you ask me, it's all about common sense. Important thing about design thinking is that, it basically is focused on thinking. And now thinking is basically linked to creativity. So if I mean, given our environment where we grew up, when we had education, when we were in schools and colleges, and we were, basically trying to learn what things are in the world, how it could be useful. I think the concept of design thinking basically tells us to, explore a parallel thinking, to be more creative, to be more immersive. And how we can definitely use our brain or our creativity in weaving together an experience which will be beneficial for the customer. So that is basically, just to give you a perspective on design thinking. And I think the part that you need to understand is that our educational system currently is more tailored towards, like linear adoption, and maybe it encourages more of, logical thinking. But design thinking is, something different. Of course, logic is important in thinking, but this is something where you need to, understand, you need to be creative, you need to immerse yourself in the shoes of the customer, and then you need to understand the customer's pulse, and then, design something which will appeal to the customer. So that is basically, the premise of design thinking to start off with. Naveen, please move on to next slide. So before I just go into this particular aspect, the other important thing about design thinking is that it starts basically from the customer's point of view. That is the premise for starting design thinking. Just to give a simple example, like unlike other quality methodologies, or let's say tools, for example, if you operate in Lean, or if you go to Six Sigma, or even for that matter, quality management systems, there is a lot of stress on, data. There is a lot of stress on observed data, and there is a lot of stress in terms of, documentation, processes, the way your, the quality apparatus is designed. So I think those are basically some of the fundamental things when these methodologies come into play. But when it comes to design thinking, it's slightly different. It basically starts from the customer. So you need to first understand what your customers are saying, how are they feeling, what are they experiencing, and are they like really, giving you some clues about this particular experience, and can you take these clues, can you imbibe or absorb these, insights or clues, and then can you come up with something which will be much more closer to the customer's expectation. So starting point is basically the customer here, and that is how it is kind of a non-linear process. And also I think the important thing to understand is that it is basically the customer's view which is first coming into when you are designing, your, let's say, a new product or maybe a new service. Unlike other quality methodologies where you first look at the data, then you know apply some tools, you would analyze the data and then come up with an output, and then, give insights to the organizations and tell them that here are some of the things or interventions that we need to do to improve the customer experience or quality. So that is, that is basically how design thinking is positioned itself. And it's a very simple methodology. It's a 5-step methodology. What you see there is basically an adoption from the IDEO school, which is one of from the Stanford University in US, and that is basically the standard methodology which most of the organizations or let's say practitioners of design thinking use. And in these 5 phases, what you see is the first phase is empathize, the second phase is define, then there is something around ideate, then the fourth one is prototype, and the last one is test. And if you look at these phases, they are very self-explanatory. I mean, we will little bit go into detail. I think in a few minutes, like we'll talk about what these phases mean. But if you look at this construct, it's very simple, it's very relatable, and it is very easy to understand for anyone. Anyone of let's say who may not have a background in quality or who may not have background in design thinking, you can quickly imbibe and learn about the tenets of design thinking. So I will just move on from here into the next slide as well. And if you just focus on this, I think I spoke about this a few minutes ago. So this is basically in terms of where design thinking is appropriate and where it is not appropriate. So if you look at this, it's very simple. It is appropriate in scenarios where we need a deeper understanding of the users and where there are many unknown factors. Like for example, there is a problem, but you don't know exactly what is the magnitude of the problem, and you do not know what are the lurking variables in that problem. And also there is no data or very little data to get hold of the problem and actually dissect the data and see what are the insights we're getting from. So if you come across this particular scenario, I think you can definitely go and look at design thinking. So I think a simple example, I mean there are some examples later, but I think just to clarify it with all, I mean just to make it simple for the participants in the program, I think one example that I'm seeing, right now everyone knows that we are in COVID times, in coronavirus times. If you see,
That
something
is a
around,
good one. That is a
you look
good,
at the mask,
good
you know
example.
yeah, you mean you look at some of these masks which have come up, like the N95 mask, and this the other masks which people are using. Of course, people are using simple things like clothes to cover their faces. So I think the concept of a mask, like I have heard about in India only. Like I think there is a mask which is getting developed. There is a school student. It has been approved by the central government. I think this mask can filter out the the virus in the air. So that is, I would say, kind of imbibing a practice where there is a problem. You don't have data because I think COVID is very recent. You don't have any data to look at, but there is a an individual has come up with a product and it is beneficial for the customers or let's say the citizens of the country. So there are many such examples as we move ahead, I think, in this presentation to share with you on design thinking. And Naveen, can you move on to the next slide, please? Yeah, I think if I continue with the examples, these are some examples from the industry. I think simple examples, what I can think of is, let's say you have a portal, whether it is a portal where you log in your, let's say, your payroll, or you do your IT returns, or maybe even let's say passport. I mean, these are some good examples, where design thinking could be applied. If we struggle, let's say, when you go and visit some of these portals, it can be even some simple forms that you want to upload. Sometimes you feel so frustrated, or sometimes you are so struggling, basically to locate what to write, where to attach the document. So I think the interface is already available, but if you ask from a user point of view or a customer point of view, it may not be relating to what the customer would like to see. So that is one example of an HR, that is one example where portals are there. You can always apply a design thinking principle and make it more friendly and make it more valuable from a customer experience. And I think the other examples which are there, if you want to understand this, is basically For example, let's say banking or post offices. I don't know. I mean, you can even go to, let's say, some companies, maybe insurance companies and all, where you have to visit branches. And sometimes when you go and visit these branches, you normally will see a lot of crowd. Sometimes, there is a lot of confusion. Sometimes, customers do not know which desk to go, whom to approach, what forms to fetch out, what to do. So I think here are some, ready-made scenarios where principles of design thinking could be used. And if you look at the examples, like from a banking perspective, some of the banks like, the Habib Bank Limited, or let's say Quantinum, Grameen Foundation, they have come up with branchless banking, which basically is combining some technologies and increasing the convenience to customers. And it's very useful in these times. I think in these times of COVID, when you need to maintain social distancing and you need to take certain precautions and safeguards. And similarly on portals, companies are trying to make it more user friendly for the respective employees, or let's say the customer. So these are some examples in the industry. More examples. Naveen, if you can move on to the next slide, please. I think one of the good examples is Uber, and I'm picking up on this example because everyone out here in India knows Uber, and I think Uber Eats. I'm sure you would have definitely ordered at some point of time from Uber Eats. If you have not ordered, at least you would have seen the Uber Eats, person who's carrying, basically the food or whatever is ordered by the customer. And to design that Uber Eats, to come up with that concept, the Uber team has actually used the principle of design thinking. And you look at this, this team is basically sitting somewhere in the world, maybe in US, and they are basically trying and understanding customer needs. When I say customer needs, customers in different countries. It could be a customer in India, maybe a customer, let's say, somewhere in Japan, or let's say a customer in Middle East, and they are trying to see how they can, improve the experience of delivering food to the customer. And they are using principles of, design thinking in coming up with that particular, objective. And similarly, I think I would say that even, I mean, in the recent times, like for example, the times that we are in with coronavirus times and all, you will certainly see some products which companies are making, or they are delivering something new which you may not have heard about. And companies are using principles of design thinking, how to make it more closer to the customer. So these are some common examples. There are a lot of examples. I mean, wherever companies have, like experimented with design thinking, it could be even while I think in insurance industry, like when you have, insurance forms, or let's say insurance claims, how to make them more appealing to customers, how to, make sure that, the customers don't face any problems when they are filing in their claims and all. I think there are many examples which are available uh, in Google. You can always go and refer it. And companies are starting to realize design thinking principles. And if you ask me, I mean, as I started in the beginning, it all starts with the customer. So they are not looking at any data. They are not saying that, okay, give me how much time, you are spending on doing this. Customers are taking maybe to fill up something, or maybe ordering some stuff and all. So basically it is trying and weaving and understanding the customer experience, and then, applying the methodology to make it more better. So I will move on to from here, I think we will look little bit into the methodology. Like for example, I spoke to you about the 5-phase methodology, and we'll try and understand what these steps are. And pretty simple. I mean, as I mentioned to you, one need not, need to know any, complex tools, while applying these particular phases in the design thinking methodology. So the first phase which starts in design thinking is empathy. And empathy is all about understanding the customer. So when you have a problem, it can be any problem. Let's say there is a problem maybe with, for example, a superstore is there, the retail store, and there's a problem maybe with the display of the store. Or customers, I think, are spending more time in the stores. Maybe the store manager wants to see how the customers, they come in and they spend minimum time in the store. That could be a problem. No data is available. He's just seeing that, past 1 week or something, this is basically the store is getting crowded at certain times. So Start off first with the customer. Customers are basically the people who visit the store. All you need to do is go and conduct interviews with the customer. Just ask them open-ended questions. Ask them how they feel in the store. I mean, do they get the products easily? Do they are they feeling convenient when it comes to looking at some brands? Are they easily identifiable? Are the signages telling them where to go and look for certain products or certain items which they need to buy? So that is basically the first stage. Under, Understand the customer's point of view, empathize with the customer, and that is what this stage is all about. And what you need to do is you can do, I mean, in terms if you want to use some tools like some reference points how to do it, you can definitely do face-to-face interviews, focus group interviews. You can send a survey, you can do questionnaire. The key thing here is to be noted is, I mean, you need to do it with all segments of customer, whichever industry or whichever organization or let's say whichever service you're offering. I mean, that is important because this has to be an entire customer base where you need to, interview that customer. And again, the questions will come if the customer base is large. Do we have the time to really do it, and, we have the resources to do it. So I think to address these questions, you can always look at a certain sample which is representative. I mean, you can draw some inferences in terms of, how many customers you want to contact. And given, of course, I mean, in organizations, corporates, you won't have the liberty where you do this exercise for a year or two. So you basically should touch every segment of the customer and make sure that you have a decent enough, number where you're talking to these customers and conduct these interviews or let's say focus group discussions or, surveys, and always ask open-ended questions. That is the key here. If you want to seek information from the customer, understand what the customer is feeling, you need to ask those open-ended questions. So how are you, feeling? What has been your experience with this particular product? How difficult or how easy it is for you to locate this particular service. So these are some kind of patterns of questioning that you need to use in the empathy phase. And once I think you are doing this, you obviously will have to take notes. You will have to document the customer responses because if if you don't do that, then I think everything will be lost. So that is, I think, the key thing in the empathy phase. And then I think after the empathy phase, we move on to the next phase, which is all about define. I mean, uh, in terms of define, what we do is basically we define the problem. It is simple. Like, after you have done those customer responses, you come up with a definition that here is the problem. And that is all that you do in the define phase. Basically, you will come up with a point of view. And that's all that you will articulate in the define phase. And while you do this, for example, between define and empathize phase, there's also a tool that design thinking practitioners use. You can also use this tool, which is a customer journey map. And what it talks about a customer journey map is it's a very simple tool. You can just apply it. It's adopted from from a leading school as well, and it is basically which will tell you what are the personas of your customer. A clear understanding you can derive from your customer base, how your customers are shaped, what are the personas, what are the customer touch points, and you can also get some moments of truth there. So if you move on to the next slide, there's a simple example which has been given for reference. I mean, this is basically we are doing a journey map. There is a customer, for example. I mean, we are looking at we are trying to understand going to the airport. There are how to make it seamless and better. Let's say you're in any city in India, maybe Delhi or Bangalore or Calcutta. Hyderabad. So you're trying to basically understand and solve that particular problem for the customer. So here is an example which is given for you. It's a template which has been used. And if you look at it, it's very simple. You have the phases which are basically articulated while going to the airport. And then what you see on the sides are, how the customers are feeling, basically in terms of doing, thinking, feeling, experience, and opportunity. And I think those insights are actually mapped on this particular phase. And you get a clear understanding, like what a customer is feeling when he or she is going to the airport. And that is an example, which will give you a journey map. And similarly, you can use this construct or you can use this template, let's say, for any problem which you are trying to solve with design. And this gives you a very clear visual understanding of your customer. It also basically tells you the feelings of the customer, which are very important because when you empathize with the customer, feelings are important. How the customer is, feeling. I mean, that particular insight you will get from this particular exercise. This is one of the tools that you can use, I think, you can definitely use to construct, the journey map. And then you have the define phase where you actually will articulate what is the actual problem in the define phase. And then Naveen, if you can move on from the next slide. Yeah, I mean the next one. Yeah, so after you have done the empathize phase and you have done the define phase, then what is the next phase? It is all about ideate, and it's very simple. You need to ideate. Basically, it's an ideation phase where there are certain tools which you will see here. I mean, you may be familiar with most of these tools or some of these tools, and I mean, these are very easy tools. You don't need any, you don't need any predefined, let's say, knowledge or understanding. You can look up for content on these tools. They're readily available on the internet. So brainstorming, for example, let's say storyboarding, then sketching, and then you have tools around, let's say, for example, movement. Like Scamper is one of the tools which is from Lean. So these are some common tools. You can use one of these tools, whichever you feel is convenient, and then you need to do a ideation session with the team that you are working. So basically, when you do the design thinking, there will be a project team. You have your customer, viewpoints, or the customer feelings are there with you from empathize phase. You have defined the problem, and now you're ideating. You are trying to, ideate and come up with creative ideas how to address that particular problem. And that's all you do in the ideate phase. And if we move on to the next phase, Naveen, if you can move on to the next slide. So after ideate, what do you do? I mean, you definitely will come up with some list of ideas. Okay. And I'm sure there will be many ideas, there will be some ideas, but you will definitely have a list. And before you go into the next phase, what you need to also understand is that I mean, it's important that you prioritize, some of these ideas. So ideas can be given by anyone, and ideas, any number of ideas you will get when you do an ideation session. That's important. But it is also equally important that you look at the relevance of the idea, the merit of the idea, what the idea is all about. When you're working in an organization, let's say you're using design thinking to solve something which is related to the organization, you also need to little bit understand or maybe dig deeper if a particular idea is more powerful than another idea. And how do you do it? You can always like go back and maybe if you have some maybe customer points there on some of these ideas, or let's say you can also do some kind of a rough analysis. Like for example, you can do an analysis in terms of how much how much time will this idea take to let's say implement, or what will be the cost involved, or for example, I think you need support of resources on that particular idea. So some kind of you know I would say I mean homework or pre-work you need to do on these ideas before you finalize, and you say, okay, this is the one which will definitely move ahead, and this is the one which can be implemented within a certain time frame. So that's important. So I think once you have those ideas, the prioritization is something that design thinking practitioners normally do, and then you do a prototype. Prototype is nothing but a pilot. I'm sure everyone knows what a pilot is. So you come up with a solution, you test it on a certain customer base. I mean, you just go and implement it and see how the how it is behaving. And you also take some notes from the prototyping phase. You basically will document and see, how if it is a product, or let's say you're designing something new, and you're trying to explore that, you can always do a prototype. Examples, if you ask me, I mean, in the automotive industry, there are different prototypes before a car is, let's say you're coming up with a new, maybe a automobile, which is, I mean, let's say I mean, your customers may be wanting a, let's say, for example, a car which has got all the features. I mean, these days cars have got the features, but let's say it has got some advanced features. Maybe, for example, let's say, I mean, in today's times, someone comes up with an idea that can a car detect, you know, the virus? Can the car tell me on the dashboard, a smart dashboard, that if I maybe drive through this area, or if I am nearby some people, there is, I mean, some virus which, I mean, I can be exposed to. Just giving an example. So I think that is basically, let's say the automotive company is doing a prototype. So they do a prototype and they will test it on a certain customer base. They'll see how the car is maybe behaving, how it is reacting, and then you capture those particular observations and you put it back in the product. You refine the product. So the important, one of the key things of design thinking is, it is not like a open and shut case. So in other quality methodologies, typically once you analyze the data, or let's say you solve a problem, it is done. I mean, you then go with a implementation plan and you implement it, and then you monitor it for a certain period of time, and that's it. The problem, basically you solve the problem. That's how you proceed ahead with regards to any of the linear quality methods. Design thinking is not that. Design thinking, you do the prototype, get the feedback on it, get the observations, again, basically put it back in the product, refine it, and launch another version. And you may launch another version as well. So it is an it is an iterative process. It's basically an iterative process. You need to improve and improve and improve till decide that, okay, fine, this is maybe the, let's say, I mean, this is basically the prototype that I'm going to release to the market on a larger scale, and that's it. So I think that's what prototype is all about. And then I think you move on to the last phase, which is all about your test. Is, as I already mentioned, you refine the prototype. And I think what you will do is, you will also learn more about your customers. Because let's say you launch a, you have done a certain prototype, you launch it in the market. I mean, then you get some responses from customers. You again do the empathy exercise. Customers will tell you, okay, now you have given me this product has come, so these are my feelings now. This is what I am uh, you know uh, feeling, or let's say this is what I'm experiencing with this product or this particular service. You take back those experiences, weave that in back into your you know define phase, and then you again do an ideation phase, and you continually improve your prototype. So that is all about the test phase. So I think this is, in simple terms, the 5 phase methodology. Tools are very simple. I mean, you can always learn about these tools. There's plenty of literature available in on the internet if you want to learn about some of these tools. There are YouTube videos available. You can always and of late there are also books on design thinking. You can also refer to that kind of material. The other important construct is, with my experience, I just wanted to share with all of you that design thinking is something which takes time. Okay, let me also emphasize on that factor. And when I say it takes time, maybe as compared to other methodologies, it is not like a quick fix kind of a solution. It will take some time, to get a certain design weaved it. Let's say it may be, if you're let's say doing something around a form, or let's say maybe a portal, or let's say around a banking product, or maybe even on a car, or maybe let us say it can be around electrical appliances, home appliances. It can be about a television. It takes time. And one of the, so for design thinking to succeed, I mean, I'm just sharing this from experience. Organizations need to invest in time. And okay, so sometimes organizations want to do things quickly. They want to just get things fixed and then move on. There are other tools. There are other levers which organizations can always rely upon. And you can use those channels and or those tools and levers, and you can definitely solve those problems. But in design thinking, you need to have that patience. You need to go through these phases. You need to do your interviews with customers. You need to get all these things, and then you need to continually refine your product. So if you ask me, I mean, we have all learned about improvement. Like one of the key phrases I still remember is continuous improvement, but it is here continual improvement. Okay, that is how design thinking operates. And if you look at some of the things, products which are coming out in today's market, for example, it can be a smartphone. Now smart TVs have come. I'm sure if you do a comparison of these, I would say, your oven, let's say, the way they were 10 years back and the way they are right now. So a lot of these things are coming, into play. The most important thing, I mean, this is something, this what I shared till now is maybe the pre-COVID or the pre-corona time. Now let us also look at the current situation where we are in, okay, where there is a need to maintain social distancing. Companies are talking about redesigning their workplaces, okay. They want to redesign, the places where employees are eating. Different companies are talking about different things. You hear this term contactless processes. You want to improve customer experience. You want to bring everything closer to the customer so that they are not inconvenienced. I feel that given these challenges and given the time, effort, whatever is required, I feel design thinking can be leveraged by organizations in today's scenario much more than it was being doing earlier. And it's a fantastic opportunity, because you have got customers. Now you can definitely get their responses. You can always seek information from customers. You know how it is changing, and certain things, certain processes, certain products were designed to operate in a different way, but the world has changed. The baseline for doing your, let's say, supply chain or operating in today's times is actually changed. So I think in these situations, design thinking is a powerful tool which can be used. I mean, in today's times to, innovate, come up with something new, and basically keep the customer at the center of everything you do. That's very important. And design thinking is all about, if you look at the methodology, what I shared in the beginning, it starts with the customer and it still continues with the customer. And I think from that perspective, it's a very powerful. So I think we move on to the next slide. Naveen, and there are some references which I've shared with all the participants, and these are basically this will be useful for you if you want to refer at any point of time. You can always go and do some reading, or you can always go and visit these references, and you can definitely get more insights on design thinking. I think also I would also suggest to the participants, there are a lot of good, I think, groups or forums in LinkedIn. I mean, let's say if you're on LinkedIn, you can always definitely exchange thoughts, ideas on LinkedIn. I mean, there are good forums and discussion forums which are available where you can learn some new things what companies are doing. Facebook also, I think, I mean, is another option where you can always go and look at design thinking as well. So there is ample reference sources and ample things where you can network, connect, and you can always use design thinking. It can also, I mean, let's say you want to design your home now, given the situation, coronavirus, you maybe want to change your living room, or you want to convert one of the rooms into your workplace, or you want to, like, make your home much more, resilient to certain kind of, let's say, diseases, something you want to do in your home given this current time. Use design thinking. I mean, start off, that is, I mean, the best way to start off is start off from the home. And I'm sure you will, when you start looking into this methodology, you will feel that it's quite powerful. I mean, you can definitely leverage it and utilize it, anywhere. So I think that is basically the construct of today's session. And I hope that you have some takeaways from, my experience, what I shared with you on design thinking. And I think the participants, definitely will be enriched. And I'm sure that, you can always, if you have any questions, clarification, I mean, there's an Actas is a fantastic organization. You can always, go and consult, the practitioners at Actas. You can also feel free to interact with other leaders and design thinking practitioners. There are a lot of forums also available online. You can always go and participate there. So I think with that, I would like to, I think, conclude the session for today. And I also wanted to thank Anexa's Amitabh sir, for giving me this opportunity to share my experience.
Thanks a lot, Amarpreet. That was very interesting, and I personally again learned a lot. I remember attending one of the sessions we had conducted. In fact, just to tell everyone that we do conduct, NXS does conduct design thinking uh, trainings, and we have a certification course for 1 day. So if you are interested in design thinking courses, please let us know, and you can join any of our ongoing design thinking courses. And it is the again a skill for the future, applicable everywhere. It's not that it has to be only for one particular type of industry, or it is any one particular type of role. uh, Designing is important everywhere. As we saw, the 5 stages, they are applicable everywhere. And as Amarpreet was mentioning, even you can design your drawing room or even your house, and using those tools and techniques. Any questions anyone has? Otherwise, I will have a few questions for Amarpreet. Amarpreet, uh, have you seen uh, these concepts being implemented somewhere in the different organizations, and what have they achieved after following these methodologies and tools and techniques? What have been the achievements of the organizations?
See, one example that, of course, I mean, in some of the organizations currently, I do hear that, there are certain teams which are working, to use design thinking principles to redesign their workplaces. So, I mean, while that data is not open in the market, but yes, there are some teams which are involved, how to make it more contactless, or let's say how to have maintained physical distancing in workplaces. So that's one example which is currently being worked upon. Another example I can share with you is of this car which came, Duster, I think, which was launched by Nissan, and the first launch itself was a failure. I mean, the customers didn't, like that particular, automobile. And I think the team at Nissan, basically what they went is, I mean, the CEO, whoever is in India, was, I think, told the team that, go and start talking to your customers. And they visited all these dealer networks when Nissan was there. I think they did this, focus group interviews with customers, and they got a lot of insights. Actually, they took notes and they got insights about what the customer would like to see in this particular auto. I think they collected all those insights and went back to the Nissan team. And there, I think they used the principles of design thinking, and they bought the second variant of the car, which is actually a hit in the market. So that is one, good example that I remember with regards to in the automotive industry. Banking, again, Amitabh, I mean, just to be, I mean, banking, yes. In India, I haven't yet seen examples, but definitely on the global scale, there are banks which are, doing more on design thinking, basically on the branches side when you interact with customers, like, branchless banking, open banking. So I think a lot of these tools are being used where you come, I mean, in the bank, and maybe I don't know, in 10 years' time, I don't know whether you need to go to a bank or at all. That is the first question I have with the way, you can use design thinking. But if you go into a bank, I mean, they are making it easier for the customer to do everything. I mean, you don't need to stand in a queue. You have all the tools available. I mean, you can just, use those tools and the customer gets the work done. So I think that is another example which I see customers have, of course, leveraged. And I think in my own experience, Uber Eats, as I mentioned in one of in the presentation, that's again a fantastic example where design thinking has been used, to like design this particular delivery, mechanisms, how to deliver food to customers in India, or let's say somewhere in Middle East, or it could be maybe in some of the Southeast Asian countries. And principles of design thinking are being used, I think, in those scenarios. So I think these are some of the examples vividly which come to my mind. Of course, I think IBM uses a lot of design thinking. It is like one of the early, I would say, innovators or pioneers in the design thinking space. They use a lot of design thinking with regards to their own products as well. So yes, I mean, there are examples which are there in the, in the current industry.
Okay. Also, I wanted to know if someone wants to make a career in design thinking, so there are two things. One is while doing your present job, you become a design thinker and contribute the skills as a design thinker to your present role. So that is one thing. So what are the possibilities? And first of all, is it possible to do that? That is one. And second is, if someone wants to build a career in design thinking, then is it possible? So both the two aspects, if you can just throw some light.
Yeah, sure. I think Amitabh, good question. In fact, I would say first, I think with regards to, I think education, right now, right now, as we discussed, I think Anexas is offering a course. So there are other institutes in India, not many, I would say, few. And I would say also, maybe a handful of institutes are offering these courses, certification programs or workshops, maybe for 1 day, 2 day, 3 days, where they are giving they are basically teaching the participants on some of the tenets of design thinking. So that's one. But if you were to go a little bit outside of India, then US, Stanford University, there are a lot of courses, out there on design thinking. They are slightly expensive, I would say, in the classroom mode. You also have got, I think, Stanford University also does online course, which is only open to selected few participants, first come, first serve, but they do it once a year. So I think that is with regards to some of the courses. I think a wonderful platform is actually Coursera. Coursera has got a good course on design. It's also got courses on user interface design, UX design, creative thinking. So I think that's a good platform. You can also, and there are some good lectures available from some of the faculties there. And what I think the participants can definitely, who is interested, can invest money on those courses. I think it is not very expensive. You can obviously do it, and you also get a certificate from Coursera. If you pay, let's say, a $20 or something, you also can get a certificate from Coursera. So that's another, I think, good way to learn something about design thinking. Indian universities, I'm not sure about whether they are doing, whether there are any courses on design thinking, but I know Amity University was offering something on design thinking. It's a private university in India. Some of the other management institutes, they do offer some courses which are maybe for 3 to 6 months. That's one, I think, on the education piece. You asked me about careers in design thinking. Yeah, one is that for working professionals, it's an add-on, especially I think working professionals in any field. Let's say you're in a leadership position, or you're in, let's say, transformation, business process engineering, business excellence, process excellence goals. I think, or let's say you are, also, a manager something. You can always learn about design thinking. It's an add-on. Other important thing is that uh, I would say, there are some organizations which are hiring for design thinking. In my experience, I would say consulting firms like Deloitte, or for example, let's say, EY, I think whoever are investing in IBM, these are people who definitely hire design thinker. And again, it is not mass scale hiring. These are niche roles. So I think the number of openings right now is less. But yes, they do offer opportunities for design thinkers to definitely come and do something. I would definitely say organizations which are into product design, basically are doing, coming up with new products, or which are into the design field. Like, I think there's a National Institute of Design. I think those kind of institutes and all do use design thinking. And if your core service is basically to design products, can be anything where you are doing prototype. It can be anything that you are doing on. I think there are opportunities to build a career in design thinking. And one last thing is, which I have learned, is I wanted to share with the entire forum, is the Indian Army. I mean, our armed forces. Like, for example, once I think they get, uh, I mean, for example, when they are not like considered fit for duty, or let's say they undergo some accident, and Indian Army supports them by giving a lot of courses. Like, you can do your courses from reputed management schools in India at a nominal cost that the Indian Army invests on its soldiers and all. I think I learned that the Indian Army is also encouraging some of these armed professionals to do courses in design. So I am, in my understanding, IIM, I think Indore, if I'm not mistaken, and then NIMS, I think maybe in Gujarat it is there. think they are offering some programs in design thinking. So that is where the current scenario is.
Good. That was really good information. And I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of viewers who are watching, and of course, those who will watch later on, because most of our viewership is after we go live, then they come to know about the program. And of course, people do watch our uh, previous programs. And those who are watching now or those who are going to watch later, whenever you're watching, I hope this information is very, very useful. And Amarpreet, it was very, very nice having you here. It's always a pleasure. And feel free to share your knowledge in future to whichever topic you would like to discuss. And as an alumni of an extras, I think this is something we expect all of our alumni, especially people who have really prospered. You have done pretty well in your career, and we would like to hear more and more things from you. We'd like you to share more knowledge for all of our alumni, and not only for alumni, anyone who is interested in learning. So thanks a lot, and thanks for spending some your valuable time with us. And I'm sure a lot of people will be benefited with this.
Thank you, Amitabh, I think, for giving me the opportunity.